The Pope. Guys, I'm genuinely very sad. I've said it a lot. I'm not religious in that I believe in spirituality. I don't really subscribe to those sorts of things. I'm not that person. But in a lot of other ways, I'd consider myself a Catholic just by tradition and action, right? A lot of my family has historically been very involved with the Catholic Church in a higher level. So yeah, it's a very sad thing for sure. Yeah, culturally Catholic. Yeah, that's how I'd put it. Yeah, because again, I'm not a very spiritual person, but as far as like all of the things you can do, the actions you take go, not always the most tied to what the rest of the church is doing, right? But very much down with the teachings and the thoughts and everything. But yeah, I really liked this one. I really liked Francis. He was great. There was I won't be too specific, but a much older family member of mine who passed a long time ago, who was very high up in the clergy before Francis was Pope. This family member had always said incredible things about him, and just kind of like endorsed him and was like, yeah, I really hope it's him or one of these few people. These are the ones that I believe are the best for the job. It really not putting down the others, but saying this person will do good work and will drive things in a good direction, which I felt that he did. Not gonna say he was perfect. I mean, again, I'm not ultra religious, so there aren't a lot of things that I will agree with sometimes. There'll be times I'll be like, but spirituality aside, as far as the humanitarian work was going, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, move the needle in the right direction. Exactly. So I hope whoever comes next is great. There's one that I would love to see, but I think he's too old. They try to not put someone in there who is similarly aged. There's one cardinal that I really like, and not related to him, but I have personal ties to him, and I would love if he would have been Pope at some point, but he's older than the Pope that just passed, Francis, so there's no way. They don't choose people that are that far along typically. Too old to prefer quality. They're not going to go for someone who's older than 88, I don't think. I mean, hey, maybe they will, but they try to at least choose one that has some time. I don't know if they've got to be below 80 or if that's just the preference. He must be a relic if he's older. He's much older. I've met him several times. Wonderful man. Incredible. Very much subscribed to a lot of the same types of things that Francis was, but he's not the guy for the job. He's very old. He would have been a long time ago, but yeah. Anyway, he's still a cardinal, so he can do great work. It's fine. If anything, the Pope themselves is they have a lot of work to do, and they're a little restricted simply because of time constraints and all these things. But a lot of the cardinals are really just kind of one step down from the Pope, and they can do a lot of work. They go out and do a lot of things, especially in humanitarian work. So there are some of them that I think, they might be a little too old for the job, but I think they can still do a lot of good work regardless, as they have been. You don't think there are any requirements for a Pope aside from being male and Catholic? That's absolutely not true. It's essentially a council votes on them. It's incredibly important because the head of the Catholic Church, the Pope, is someone who has a lot of influence. And putting someone in that position who has true good intent and is good at picking what we should be tackling right now over other things, a lot of that, it's really important to pick a good one. It really is. Because of this, they all watch each other and they're very judgmental about each other's work and how they go about it and what they choose to prioritize. Because if one of them is going to end up Pope one day, they need to make sure that they're picking someone very nitpicky, that really is going to do right by the world. Because let's be honest, Catholic Church has a lot of money, and where they decide to throw their weight around in humanitarian work and a lot of other things, and their influence is really significant. So they very much so put a lot of effort and thought into who they pick, and it's a council of a bunch of old dudes that have been judging each other for a long time on every little bit of work they do and every little word they say, because they know how much power their words hold, so yeah. It's important. Woman Pope, please? No, it's picked from the Cardinals. You think it's gonna be Tyler? I hope so. I like the both of them. I'm actually on his team, I think. Those are the two that people are saying they think are most likely. There are a lot of people that are within the pool of potentials as well. I don't care who they pick as long as they really push things in a direction the way Francis did. Again, not saying I 100% agree with everything he ever did and said. And again, I'm not a spiritual person, so that will always work its way into what I care about with that. But yeah, just someone who's gonna do good. That's all. Someone who's gonna do good. Are you Catholic? I always say I'm culturally Catholic, but I'm not spiritual. Anything that could be called a little bit mystical, I'm not really a subscriber to. Does that make sense? However, I have a really firm belief in a lot of ideals that are, Matholic, right? Yeah, I'm at my core I'm a logical person, so there'll be some things that I'm like, yeah, I can't get myself to believe that that's true. But a lot of the ideals are important, you know, and I was just kind of raised that way. So, you know, hope the next pope doesn't undo the reforms Francis put forth. Well, the majority of the current cardinals, like a huge number of them, were put there by Pope Francis, and he was always someone who believed firmly in we need to put good people in this place, because, you know, if the majority of them are not good, or not that they're bad, but how do I say it? They're not the right type of good that we actually need in this type of position, then, you know, he could try to do all the good in the world. Doesn't matter if the cardinals are not pushing forth the same things, if they're not on the same page, it doesn't matter. So he really made sure that a lot of people in the cardinal positions were really great. And I like a lot of the current cardinals. I do. I really do. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. What you liked about Francis is that for whatever faults he had, he seemed to sincerely believe in his message of helping the poor. Yes, that is a big part of why I really liked him, is because I felt like he was telling the truth when he spoke. If I didn't agree with some ideal he held, it didn't matter, because I could respectfully disagree, and he would say, okay, well, here's what I think, and we're going to do this. And if he said, I want to help the poor, he did, right? He did so much action to show that he was putting action behind his words the whole time, very consistently, which I think it's important to have people in positions of power that, you know, follow your ideals if you care about that. But at the same time, I feel like it's more important for them to just be people of their word, right? And that was what he was doing. It's incredibly important. So yeah. TLDR, love Francis. I really love that he wants to be buried in one of my most favorite places, actually. He wants to be in the Basilica of Saint Maria Maggiore, which is like, I just really like that one. I really like that one. I don't know if you guys have ever visited the Vatican, if you've ever visited Italy and Rome and areas nearby. But yeah, I really like that church, and he specifically wanted to do it because the Basilica is for Mary specifically, right? It's like her who is watching over it. She's the saint watching over it. And it was important to him to be buried, you know, in or next to that one. He would talk about a lot of things relating to women that a lot of other popes previously didn't really care about or didn't really seem to place importance on. He was one of the few that kind of did, and I really appreciated that. And then his final message being like, my final message is just purely about where I want to be buried, and then it's her church. I'm like, hey, that's great. That's wonderful.